Effects aren't going to make your video good. Everything else that you do, that's going to make your video good. A part of sports video editing that I think is a lot of people's favorites, first thing that I like to do when I'm editing. Today I'm going to show you how I shoot and edit compelling sports videos for clients from start to finish. Hey, welcome. For anyone who's new here, my name is Peter. I am a videographer based out of Toronto, Canada. I shoot a lot of event and commercial work, and a lot of this work predicates around sports. So today we're going to be talking about how I take a video from pre-production to shooting to editing to delivery. We're going to go over everything so that by the end of this video you can be more prepared to go out into the field and shoot sports videos for yourself. So before you even go to a game, you want to know who your target is, who the video is going to be made for. So if I'm being hired by a certain team, then I know that I'm going to capture content around that team and their best players. I need to understand kind of what their marketing objectives are, and I need to make sure that I'm capturing content with a client's marketing objectives in mind. And you should be doing the same. So if you're going out, just think before you even get to the game, where is the client going to be using the video? What does the client want to highlight? What makes today's game special? These are all questions that you want to have answered for yourself before you even get to a sporting event to film, because at the end of the day, if you don't film the right content, the content that the client needs, then it doesn't matter how good your effects are, how good your editing is, it's all for none. The video is not going to turn out the way that you or the client are expecting. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about shooting. When I'm shooting, one thing that I absolutely love to do is take a shot list. Not a shot list in a traditional sense, like when you're working on a set, you have like all the shots you have to knock off, but I'll make notes on my phone while the game is happening and as I'm shooting so that I know exactly what I've got, so that when I go to edit, it's a lot easier for me to sort out. This is a sample shot list that I have from the weekend of March 7th and 8th for a basketball event that I was shooting. So here I have clip numbers going down, and then here I have descriptions with keywords for what happened in every clip. At the top I have the quarter, the baseline of the team that I'm filming at, and the lens that I had. Every time I save a clip, I write the team, I write what happened, and I make any other notes that I feel are applicable. So for this shot, clip number 15 on my camera, team YCE had a really nice pass, and then I whip pan the camera out to the right. This whole process of making a shot list may seem ridiculous, being on your phone while you're shooting, going back and forth. It's honestly a little bit of a pain in the butt, but this saves me so much time when I'm editing. It is ridiculous. Instead of spending hours and hours and hours looking through footage, I open up my shot list that I made on my phone, on my computer after I get home, and everything is right there. I barely have to look through footage. I know exactly what I have, and I can pull the best shots without taking hours and hours to go through everything. And that gives me more time to focus on the creative and delivering the best product possible, which I love. Say I wanted to search for a dunk. So I write the word dunk, and here I go. I have one dunk, two dunks, three dunks. Say I want a three-pointer, I can go made three. So I have made three, made three, made three, going down the list. You can see all the times where somebody made a three-pointer in my clip. So if I ever need one for an edit, I can just go and grab it, and I know the team, I know the clip number, I know anything else that I have worked into that file. So another thing to consider when shooting is a variety. You want to get a variety of angles. You want to shoot at a variety of focal lengths. If you're not there for one specific team, then you want to make sure that you're shooting a variety of teams. Having a lot of different types of content to play with is going to make your video a lot more dynamic from my experience. And I find that when you have a lot of angles, you can really make the audience feel like they're there at the event, even if they're just watching a video, because you're really showing them what happened from every angle possible. You can be in a close-up, and then you can be at the back of the building, and then you can be behind the net for a goal. Whereas if you just stand in one place, maybe you're shooting basketball and you stand at the baseline, well, then they're going to get a minute of baseline footage, and it's not going to be that interesting. Maybe they'll like it for 20 seconds, and then your audience is going to get bored. So while you're shooting, keep in mind that you definitely need to get variety. And the final thing that I'm going to say in terms of shooting is quality over quantity. Maybe looking at the shot list over here and thinking, wow, Peter, that's a lot of footage. How can you say quality over quantity? Well, all of this is 2 days worth of shooting, 8-hour days for 2 people. So yeah, it's a lot of footage, but we shot a lot of content because we wanted to get a variety, going back to that. But don't feel like you need to save every single clip that you shoot. It's okay to delete stuff. This goes back to the pre-production thing and understanding what you're shooting for, who you're shooting for, why you're shooting, and capturing the key moments. If something is important, because you've prepared, you'll know that it's important. And if you get a clip that doesn't mean that much, it's just creating more work for you and it's taking up more space. So don't be afraid to delete clips, be selective with your filming. Just make sure you get what you need. Prefacing that right now, don't undershoot. Better to overshoot than undershoot, because if you undershoot, you're in trouble. If you overshoot, it's just more work. I know those two statements contradict each other, but it's just a matter of how comfortable you are in a certain environment. So now we're going to move on to editing. So the first thing that we need to talk about in editing is file management. Good file management is imperative to a good edit. So don't just take all your SD cards at the end of a long day of shooting and dump everything into one folder on your computer and leave it. That is going to become messy very quickly. Organized by team, organized by game, organized by venue. Make sure that when you need a clip, you know exactly where to find it and it's in a folder that makes sense to you. There's no one uniform file management system across the board, but you need to find something that's consistent and works for you so that you can always find your footage and it's not a mess. Now, assuming you have good file management, the first thing that I like to do when I'm editing, I load all my footage into Premiere and then I start making an assembly edit. When I'm doing an assembly edit, things I look for are opportunities to cut on action, in-camera transitions like whip pan, good compelling B-roll that I can use to break up action clips so I can kind of give my audience a break before I whip them back into things. And I'm looking to use the footage that I have to tell a story in what is otherwise an unscripted environment. So if we hop into Premiere here, I've loaded up an old project of mine. Now I'm just gonna play this clip for us.
Tell them I'm just getting started.
Tell them
this year's my year. Hey, tell them I'm staying right here. Tell them I'm switching my gear. Yeah, tell them I'm just getting started. Tell them this year's my year. Hey, hop in this trust and some boom. I take the man to the tomb. Yeah, now they all ask what I'm doing. Well, you see it soon. Say that they know what to do. Say I should listen to you. Yeah, y'all don't know what I've been doing. Trust me, you don't gotta clue.
Alright, that's it for now. So let's hop back into this and talk about some of the things that I did when I made the assembly edit for this video. I started out really slow. I showed the players warming up, I showed them walking out, and that's kind of setting the stage for an introduction. It's the start of the game. Now if we come over to here, this is kind of my first instance of cutting on motion. So this player is dribbling, and it slows down right in the middle of the action of him dribbling the ball. And it cuts to another person who's also dribbling the ball, with that ball at about the same height, going in the same direction. So by cutting those two similar actions together, I'm able to create a really smooth transition from one clip to the next that isn't jarring for the viewer. So if we continue playing this, here we lead up into an action. Now this is obviously after the assembly edit where I added this effect, but that's not really what we're talking about right now. So we continue this clip and we have a dunk. There's an action. Now before he lands, finishing that action, we have a cut into the reaction. So I have a little action reaction cut, and that's something that I like doing in sports edits a lot. I love showing something and then showing an emotion attached to that action. I feel like that's a really compelling way to get an audience engaged in a video. So as I was saying, we have a player here who is dribbling from the right to the left of the screen, and then we have another one who's dribbling from the right to the left. It's a very similar action. Now as we continue this clip forward, the player goes in, he scores a layup, and we're going to stop right here because there's actually an in-camera transition, which is something that I was talking about before. Occasionally I will whip the camera in the direction of an action once the action happens. So in this particular instance, I have a close-up of the ball going into the basket. The ball goes down, and then I whip the camera down to follow the action. Now before I go and film the reaction of the player to making his shot, I whip the camera down again, so I'm whipping down into his reaction. So now I have one clip where I'm whipping down out, and I have one clip where I'm whipping the camera down into the shot. So that creates motion blur at the start and end of two clips that go together. Cut those clips together on the motion blur, and that hides the cut, so it looks like a seamless motion from a player making a shot to a player reacting to a shot. And those types of whip pan in-camera transitions is something that I do all the time. Moving on to a part of sports video editing that I think is a lot of people's favorites, effects. You need to be planned with your effects. Watch your assembly edit a few times and take rough notes about effects that you could use, about ideas that you could implement into this video now that you have a solid assembly edit. If you don't have any ideas or you're not sure what the full realm of possibilities is, then maybe go online, go on Instagram. There's a million sports pages out there which have some amazing videos and their own unique style to how they do things. Now, if you're not comfortable in a program like After Effects or something else where you can add more complicated effects, I actually just made a tutorial breaking down how I added effects to a shot for a recent video I did. That's linked right up here so you can go watch it after this if you want. When you're bringing a video into After Effects or whatever other program you use, you want to make sure you have a plan. You want to have a theme for your video and you want those effects to match the theme. So if you have a video of younger kids playing sports and you want to do some cartoon animation, great. That goes really well together. Just make sure that when you're doing your effects, you're sticking to cartoon animations, scribble effects, stuff that fits that vibe. You don't want to create some 3D rendered objects and start comping them into your video on top of your scribble animations. That's not going to make any sense. Those things don't really go together. Be consistent with your effects. Remember, less is more. You don't need to put effects on every single shot. And most importantly, effects aren't going to make your video good. Everything else that you do, the pre-production, shooting and taking notes, making a good assembly edit that you put a lot of time into, that's going to make your video good. Effects can make a good video great, but you can't make a bad video good just by slapping some effects on it and disregarding everything else. Now, getting to audio. Audio is probably the most overlooked part of sports videos, or honestly any videos. Most people will just lay some hip hop track or popular music underneath their video, let it run, and that's it. And that's fine. I guess it's acceptable, but that's not going to make you stand out. Obviously, you want to be cutting to the music, you want to be marking beats, but I feel like everyone knows to cut to music at this point. What a lot of people don't do is they don't add those extra sound effects. Are you going back, adding a little dribble sound every time the ball hits the ground? Are you adding a swish sound when the ball goes in the basket? Are you adding extra ambience of the arena that fans are cheering in? Adding those extra sound effects, giving your video a good, proper audio mix really brings an audience into the video, and it makes it a lot more compelling than something that just has a random generic pop song under it. That's what's going to make you stand out, in my opinion. Also, one more thing I forgot to talk about: color grading. Super important. Put time into your color grade. There's a million color grading tutorials. I'm not going to get too in-depth on this, but color grade after you do your effects. Color grade so that your special effects and anything that you add into your scene matches your camera so that it all fits in. Don't mess with a team's colors if they have certain branding. Try to keep that consistent. I'll show you a quick before and after for a video that I color graded right now. As you can see, the before footage is whatever. After, you see I've lifted the footage up. I haven't done anything too drastic with it. I brought the saturation down, which desaturates the most vibrant colors in the scene, and then I brought the vibrance up, which makes the least vibrant colors closer to the most vibrant colors. I feel like this is something that makes your image more unified as a whole, and it's something that I like doing. I have a way I color. I feel like it makes my videos pop and stand out, and it's more thought than most people put into their coloring, but I'm not taking these into DaVinci and giving them a Hollywood color grade. So that breaks down exactly how I take a sports video from pre-production to final delivery. If you like this video, then please hit subscribe, because I'm going to be making a lot more tutorials surrounding videography and my work as a videographer in the near future. And I really hope you got some value out of this video. More importantly, I love sharing my work, and I hope that you learned something and enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. That is going to be all for today. Until next time, peace out.